Tony Khan was on the Busted Open podcast this week, trying to justify all of his insane booking as of late. Tony went on Busted Open trying to justify the whole CM Punk Jon Moxley thing as taking a different route to get to the same point than traditionally is done. Traditionally is done would be that you have a program that you're building up to the big match at the pay-per-view between Mox and Punk, where everybody knows exactly where things are going. They just don't know the outcome necessarily. Well, Tony Khan decided that doing a big old swerve ski was the best way to go about pushing this storyline into the pay-per-view between Punk and Moxley, where we are all up in the air and we have no idea what's going to happen next. We don't know if Punk is really hurt. Is he not hurt? Who's going to face Moxley at the pay-per-view? Punk gets squashed. We're 1 week away from the pay-per-view and we don't know the main event yet. Now, of course, we do know that it is going to be Punk and Moxley in the rematch. So this was the build. This was the intention all along. Check out Tony Khan talking about his master plan.
It seems like we're fighting amongst each other. I just wish fans would be a little bit more patient and see how the story unfolds.
It's okay. You know, I think as long as everybody can watch the show and have a good time, if however people want to react, it's fine. I think the fans are always right. And if I left them with a lot of questions going into the pay-per-view, for some people that may be unsettling because they're not used to that. It's a different way to do it. But it was a big success. It brought a huge rating, and I still think we're going to have a great audience for the pay-per-view, and hopefully it will actually influence it in a very positive way. But it's okay for people to have questions and sometimes express their questions and frustration or anger. I think it's perfectly normal. It's obviously a different way to get from point A to point C. But it's not just going directly through point B in a straight line this time, and I think it's good. But there'll be a lot of exciting things, including a lot of great wrestling action tonight on TBS on Dynamite, and we're going to learn a lot about the pay-per-view, and I'm really excited about it.
Look, I gotta be honest with you guys. I thought this was absolute dog shit. Just flat out. If you are a longtime listener of the show, you will know that I am an unabashed AEW supporter. They are what saved my fandom when Vince drove me away in the 2000 teens. And Punk is my Lord and Savior. CM Jesus Christ Punk, you know. Haven't been shy about saying that either. But with all of that said, I also pride myself on keeping it 100. No pun intended for Conan. But, I try to keep it down the middle and call it like I see it. And how I see this playing out is it's absolute dog shit. This is fucking stupid. To wait up until you're 4 days out from your pay-per-view to have an official main event match, especially in Chicago, where you're keeping people up in the air about whether Punk is even going to be on the goddamn card or not. It didn't help the ticket sales. I don't know if it's just because, the AEW penis has been flaccid as of late, and that's why they haven't sold out all out yet, which is only a fucking 10,000 seat arena. The Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks sold out a 10,000 seat arena in like seconds on the indies. AEW can't even do it now. In Chicago, one of their hottest towns, with the roster that they have. It was bad booking from the beginning. You have to let your audience know that CM Punk is going to be in the main event against Jon Moxley. They should have did the title unification they should have never did this faux squash match. All right, so let me go ahead and break it down. This whole fucking thing is stupid because last week I was actually a huge supporter of the squash match. A lot of people were hating it. A lot of people thought it was burying Punk, or a lot of people thought it was bad booking, or what the fuck are they doing? It's the end of the company, doom and gloom, right? The finger poke of doom for AEW. I've heard it all. And, I was a big supporter of the squash match because I thought it was good storytelling. Other than the fact that we were going into All Out without knowing what the fuck our main event was, I liked the idea of Punk. Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? What's going on? Are they setting up for an MJF to come in and are they built into a Punk heel turn? And then all of a sudden this, and not only that, but I just in general like the idea of not always delivering a half hour, 45-minute main event title match. Sometimes, I brought up the example of UFC last week that, sometimes in real fights, even with top guys, main event stars, people get knocked the fuck out right away. People get squashed. People get upset. It happens. People slip on banana peels, and that's what the story they were telling. And in a bubble, that was a great story. I really liked it. But now they come out the week after, and Tony Khan's out here saying, oh, this is just part of a master plan. We're just going about it a different way. Instead of going A, B to C, we're going A to D to C, or whatever the fuck he was trying to say. And now Punk comes out and he's like, no, my foot doesn't hurt. My foot's 100%. It's a new 100%, but it's 100%. So why the fuck did you buckle last week after you threw your kick, fall to the ground going, my foot, it hurts, and fucking cry like a bitch about it, and then have to be hauled out? You had to be carried out. You had to do the thing where your arms are over the guy's shoulders, and you're limping off, you can barely get out of the ring, and all that shit. And all of that to say that your foot's not even actually hurt, that it's your confidence that's hurt. My confidence is hurt. I don't know if I got it anymore. You're telling two different stories. Both of them are good stories, but you're conflating them now. Now you're just mixing the two together, and it's a bunch of hogwash. It doesn't make sense. Now we're supposed to take Punk seriously? Oh, now I mean it, because we're in Chicago when Ace Steel slapped me in the face, so I got my confidence back. By the way, Ace Steel dropping F-bombs on AEW right after the network passed down a fucking note saying to tone the language down. You're just going to drop F-bombs? You're going to go from bitches and shits up to F-bombs? But that's, I digress. So CM Punk, we're supposed to take him goddamn seriously now that he's, now I'm motivated for real, and now you're going to have to kill me. Dude, Mox just smoked you in 3 minutes, and it was justifiable because your foot was injured. Now your foot's not injured, so you're just a pussy. Now you just fucking suck. So it buries Punk more. And again, I'm saying this from love. I am an AEW fan. I love AEW. I want them to succeed. I am not a hater. I like that there's competition. I want them to stick around for the long run, and I want them to be successful. I want them to get over 1 million. I want Punk to be the biggest star all over again. I want them to succeed. But what they're doing right now is straight up dog shit. And I don't know what the fuck they're doing, man. I can't get into any of this stuff. It goes to the bigger picture. So not only do we got Punk, who was hurt last week, and can't even fucking walk out of the ring. He's limping. Oh, my foot, it buckled. He was crying. He was wincing. He was writhing in pain on the mat. Poor guy. And now all of a sudden this week, no, I'm 100%. I'm just, I don't know if I got it in me anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I've seen people online, that are arguing like, oh, it's a storyline. Give it a chance to play out. They're telling a story. No, they're not telling a story. They're fucking it up is what they're doing. They're telling two different stories, and they're conflating them, and they're botching it. They're botching it. That on top of Eddie Kingston's gonna fight fucking Tomohiro Ishii on the pay-per-view. Don't get me wrong, like, that's going to be a great match and all, but why is he not facing Sammy Guevara? Just because they got in a little tiff backstage? We all know about that now. It's public knowledge. You can help sell pay-per-views or build excitement for the pay-per-view by putting a match on TV that we all know these guys don't like each other for real. It builds an extra element to the fucking heat. So now Sammy's going to be doing some kind of fucking thing with his woman, and Eddie's gonna be off wrestling New Japan guys. Why are they doing that? What about the whole FTR thing? They hold every championship in the world. They can't hold them forever. At some point, they're going to have to drop the belts in Mexico or drop the belts in New Japan. But right now, and what made perfect sense if you're telling a story, you know, if you're telling long-term booking, the perfect fucking story, it writes itself. You don't even need to do any work on this, was that the Young Bucks held the tag team titles all the way up to All Out, the most obnoxious, douchebag, hateable fucks, and then fucking they have a winner takes all, you know, all of FTR's championships versus the Young Bucks AEW tag team championships at All Out. That would have been big enough to main event. Big enough to main event with a tag team match. The rubber match. FTR won. The Bucks won. Now it's for all of the gold. And you have the Bucks drop the belts to FTR. So they have that moment where they have literally every tag team title that's ever existed other than the ones in WWE, right? But no, we can't do that. And not only that, but we can't even be bothered to book FTR in a tag team titles match. They're in some fucking weird 6-man. Like, and they were taking off the video game. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I know that this was probably the Young Bucks, and they don't want to work with FTR, supposedly. And then, you know, now they want to do the trios thing with Kenny Omega. Why couldn't the trios thing happen after All Out? Right? You bring Kenny Omega back before All Out still. Give him a high-profile match, maybe against a Japanese guy, you know, put him up against Ospreay. They've been building that fucking feud over their little beefs on, you know, every chance they get, they take shots at each other. Ospreay versus Omega at All Out. Jesus Christ. Why is this so hard? I can book a 10 times better pay-per-view than they can. Oh, it's storytelling. Oh, you just don't know the bigger picture. Meh. This is dog shit. It's all dog shit booking. It's trash. It's fucking trash. They're fucking everything up. They have no clue where they're going. They have no clue what the biggest matches are. They're letting politics rule. There's zero reason the trios titles had to be rushed to happen at All Out, right? They had stories that they could tell building to All Out, and then they could do the trios thing after. Young Bucks drop the belts to FTR. That gives them a perfect reason to get out of the tag team division. Omega, it doesn't matter what happened with him because it was just a exhibition match, essentially, you know, with Ospreay. No real, you know, the outcome doesn't matter. It's just there because, you know, there's a personal rivalry going on. Why couldn't they do that? Instead, we got these weird 6-mans going on that are not going to, like, I don't even know who's in all these matches. And they were all announced at the last minute. It's just, what the fuck are you doing? Tony Khan needs to build a booking team around him, and he needs help now. He needs help creatively. He built a team around him for talent relations because, you know, people aren't being communicated with properly and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Fine. Now you need a creative team around you because, dude, it's not cutting it right now. It's not. And I've been a huge fan of a lot of the stories that AEW has told in the past. And I do think they tell stories. Not like WWE does and not like they need to draw people in. But they have told stories in the past. And they tell them differently. And you know what? I'll give Tony Khan props for attempting to tell a different story, you know, with Punk and Moxley to build the All Out. You know, they tried something different. But unfortunately, what it's doing is it's cost you pay-per-view buys, I'm sure. And, you know, a lot of pay-per-view buys happen last minute. So, you know, they might be able to salvage that. But they certainly cost them ticket sales. Nobody knew what the fuck they were buying. And I went online because I thought about going to All Out, you know, because I don't live too far from Chicago. I hate driving to Chicago because it's, Jesus Christ, have you ever been to Chicago? It's a hellhole. Fucking the traffic is insane. And I live in a city, and I drive in heavy traffic every day, you know. But it's I guess normal heavy traffic, you know, compared to fucking Jesus Christ, Chicago is insane. But I digress again. It's the ticket prices were insane when I looked at it. Was like $100 for like fucking, high-rise seats. And I was like, I am not, no. Not gonna happen. Or even like $60 or whatever, like by the time I pay gas and I pay the handling fees for the tickets and then you parking pass and I'm gonna be in this fucking thing $200 just to go to the show, and I'm not gonna do that. So they lost me there, and not knowing what the main event was even gonna be was a huge thing. The booking of all of this has been shit. Props to Tony Khan for trying to do something different, I guess. But maybe let's do that like building up to like a Winter is Coming and not like a fucking, one of your biggest pay-per-views of your year or the biggest pay-per-view of the year. It cost them money. And it's wasn't the finger poke of doom, but they're going to have to dig themselves out of this hole a little bit. This is they booked themselves into a shit show and everybody recognizes it. And now they're going to have to pay for those, they're going to have to work their way out of that. And, rumors were that Punk had to be talked into doing this whole storyline and that it was Mox's idea. Again, like, I liked it in a bubble, and had they told a different story, I don't like what they did this week. You don't have Punk come out and be like, oh, now I'm fired up. Now you're going to get the real CM Punk, and in Chicago, you're going to have to kill me. Dude, you were just beat in 3 minutes. Like, it's not believable anymore. And your foot, you sold your foot like a mofo. Now your foot's 100%. That's not even a problem. So what are we doing here? Had you told a story where Punk's injured, he can't compete, or his foot, he's gonna try, he's gonna gut it out, but he's still hurt. You should have never touched the foot if the foot was gonna be 100% to begin with, and it was Punk's confidence. Those are two separate stories, and you fucked it up. Now it doesn't make sense. Now I don't care, and now I have zero faith in Punk. And plus, you doubled down on, everybody was like, oh, is Punk going to be turning heel? And he still could. But they kind of doubled down on Mox cut a kind of a heel promo, and granted, they were in Chicago. Punk's always going to be the babyface there. But Mox went heel on Punk, essentially. He took the form of the heel. I don't think, it wasn't a heel turn, but somebody's got to play heel-ish in the promos and in the match, when it's two baby faces going head-to-head. And Punk doubled down on being the super babyface in Chicago. So I don't know what story they're trying to tell. It's all fucked up. I love AEW. I respect Tony Khan. I want this all to make sense, but it doesn't. It's a shit show. And you can't convince me otherwise.